So you want to cross continents on two wheels, traverse the big distances, spend whole days in the saddle like Ewan and Charlie. And while those two rode adventure motorcycles, there are other options for long distance travel, especially if you intend on traveling primarily on pavement. There are many mile-munching long-distance bikes out there, and though technically you could travel on a Grom if you want to, or a 300cc dual sport, let's face it, big displacement motorcycles are far more suited to the long slog on pavement, and the three best types for this kind of riding are baggers, big sport tours, and big adventure bikes. So what are the relative strengths and weaknesses of each type of platform, and which one should you get? I've enjoyed quite a few miles on each type of motorcycle and can compare them for you in terms of comfort, power, handling, and versatility. If you're wondering which one will be most suited to your goals and riding style, stay tuned. And as always, if you find this content valuable, please consider supporting this small channel by subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. So, as stated earlier, any motorcycle can be a touring motorcycle. I've seen people touring on 600cc sport bikes, even though I would personally regard that as an exercise in masochism. I've owned one of those, and trust me, a 600 and long distance touring don't mix. That's why we have long distance touring motorcycles. And the best are baggers and dressers like the big Harleys, the Honda Goldwings, some BMW models, and several others. Big sport tours like the BMW R1250 RT and the Yamaha FJR 1300, and big adventure motorcycles like the BMW R1250 GS and other big motorcycles in its class. We also have some adventure/sport touring motorcycles like the Kawasaki Versys 1000, which, for the purposes of this comparison, can be lumped in with adventure motorcycles. So, if you're wanting to tour long distance, which one should you get? Depends on how you intend to use it. Will you be spending all day in the saddle on an interstate with a passenger, perhaps at seriously extra legal speeds? Will you be chasing sport bikes in the twisties? These considerations will dictate the motorcycle you get. So which ones are best for which activity? Let's take a look at them and weigh their pros and cons. First, the baggers. Baggers are big American-style touring bikes in the vein of the Harley Road Glide, the Indian Challenger, or Honda Goldwing. They are equipped with huge fairings, stereo systems, navigation, enormous padded seats, and feet-forward riding positions. These are by far the heaviest motorcycles on the market, weighing anywhere between 750 to north of 900 pounds. This means that they are the most comfortable, stable, and planted on the super slab. Their weather protection is the most complete, with some even directing warm airflow from the radiator to your legs on cold days. With the windshields raised, the rider and passenger are encased in a bubble of still air, making it possible to listen to the stereo at slower speeds. At high speeds, you're better off listening to tunes and podcasts by Bluetoothing your headset to your phone. These are the only motorcycles with integrated navigation, and most of them offer Apple CarPlay and other doodads like tire pressure monitoring. Baggers also tend to have the lowest seats out of our three choices, usually under 30 inches, which makes their huge weight somewhat more manageable. Performance-wise, they can surprise you with their power and handling, especially the BMWs, but they are still the slowest accelerating and handling of our choices. Yes, huge torquey engines and modern frame design make it possible for these behemoths to hustle along smartly, but don't expect them to be able to keep up with adventure and sport tours, either in straight-line acceleration or in the curves. No amount of fancy tech can compensate for the 200 or 300 extra pounds that these weigh over smaller touring bikes. Generally, these motorcycles carry the most gear out of our choices, especially when equipped with trunks in the back. The current Goldwing, for example, has a 61-liter trunk which held our two full-face helmets with a GoPro attached to mine, and also fit our jackets, riding pants, and various other knickknacks. For two-up traveling, pulling a trailer, long miles on the highway, riding through heavy rain or cold weather, listening to tunage, or fitting in at a North American bike night, these are the best. However, due to their high gearing, for sporty riding and sheer roll-on acceleration, they are the least exciting, unless you go for the 6-cylinder BMWs. Generally, it's a good idea to drop a gear or two if you want to make a quick pass on a 2-lane. Finally, these also tend to be the most expensive of your choices, starting at around $22,000 US and topping out at infinity and beyond. Sport tours tend to be a bit less expensive than baggers, with the Yamaha FJR 1300 starting at $18.3 thousand US. On the upper end, the BMW K1600s top out in the 25 to 27K range, which is still a lot less expensive than many baggers, especially given that 6-cylinder engine. Big sport tours are like mini baggers with sportier riding positions, more power, less weight, and slightly less wind protection. You won't find many stereos or built-in nav systems here. The wheels are a sportier 17 inches front and back, and the weights hover between 600 and 700 pounds. Note, I'm not including smaller sport tours like the Ninja 1000 or hyper tours like the H2SX because those have much more sporty riding positions, so they have their own class. Sport tours tend to have more power and a bit less torque than most baggers and are usually lower geared, which makes their acceleration and roll-on performance more brisk. These bikes are also good on the highway, the faster the better, even if those seats are not as plush. On the Autobahn, these are perfect. Their fairings tend to extend down and offer decent weather protection for the legs, and their windshields tend to be adjustable. Like baggers, they can be outfitted with a trunk that doubles as a passenger backrest but will never be quite as comfortable as the ones on the bigger bikes. So two-up riding is fine, but not as nice as on a Goldwing. In addition to their acceleration advantage, sport tours also handle better than baggers in the twisties thanks to their lower weight and generally stiffer suspensions. They won't feel like a super naked in the curves, but will leave the Harley and Goldwing crowd for dead. Passing on 2 lanes is quick and easy, as is holding a line through a curve. Generally, they aren't as comfy as baggers, but many riders prefer this riding position because the rider's feet are located under the seat, which makes it easier to stand and stretch the legs once in a while. Because of this difference, sport tours tend to have slightly higher seats than baggers in the 30 to 33-inch neighborhood. Though they are usually a couple of 100 pounds lighter than baggers, their higher center of gravity can make them top-heavy. The tallest of all the long-distance motorcycles we'll discuss today are the adventure bikes and adventure-style sport tours. These motorcycles tend to start at 33-inch seat heights and go up from there, so they are favored by taller riders. Weighing between 500 and 600 pounds, these 1000 to 1300cc motorcycles are the lightest but also the most top-heavy of the choices. The tall seats allow for foot placement underneath the rider and still provide plenty of legroom. Tall riders take note. This can be a very comfortable riding position for many, with large pegs and wide handlebars making stand-up riding easy and pleasant, but these motorcycles also provide the least weather protection. There's generally less protection for the legs, the BMW R1250 GS being a notable exception thanks to its wide boxer motor, and the windshields tend to be smaller and usually not electric. Riding positions are subjective, but these to me are the least highway-friendly of our choices. Likewise, two-up comfort lags far behind the baggers and slightly behind the sport tours with more Spartan passenger accommodations. These bikes are fine, and if you never put your passenger on a bagger, they'll never know the difference. But if they'd ever sat on a Goldwing or a Harley Limited, convincing your passenger to cross the continent on the back of an adventure bike might get tense. One area where these motorcycles do not lack is performance. In terms of power and torque, they are right there with the sport tours in acceleration and roll-on. Even the smaller 1000cc ones are impressive, but the bigger bikes can go well north of the 150 horsepower mark, and with their lighter weights they rocket forward like million-dollar supercars. Additionally, I know that this statement will be controversial with the sport touring crowd, but the ADV bikes handle better in the curves. Probably the best example of this is the BMW R1250 GS, which tends to pull away from its brother the R1250 RT when the road gets twisty. Same powertrain, but the GS is lighter and more nimble, with its wide bars providing plenty of leverage to muscle it into turns at some shocking speeds for a bike of its size. Finally, the adventure bikes are the most versatile. Going up to the Arctic Circle where there are only gravel roads, riding the Road of Bones through Siberia, good luck on your Goldwing. No, you won't be as comfy on the freeway as the bagger bros, but you won't be far behind. Then you can drop them on the twisty road through the mountains and keep riding off-road where they dare not venture. That's why these motorcycles have become the most popular bikes in the world since the turn of the century. Riders like bikes that do it all and are relatively reasonably priced compared to the baggers and sport tours. You can get a Suzuki V-Strom 1050 for $15.3 thousand US, and even the Ducati Multistrada V4 starts at a not terrible $27,000 and gives you a superbike level 175 horsepower. Pricey, yes, but not compared to the average Harley bagger. So to sum up, for the interstate, two-up or chill cruising with tunes and nav, it's the bagger, and they are still wildly popular in North America where I live. For the Autobahn and very brisk travel as well as pretty good performance in the curves, the Sport Tours are an awesome choice. Sleek, sophisticated and smooth, these bikes will not disappoint in the comfort or performance department. Finally, for maximum versatility and performance, especially in the twisties and off-road, the adventure bikes rule. Their off-road performance is expected as their suspensions are built for the rough stuff, but it is a testament to modern engineering that these motorcycles also handle best on pavement. Truly a tour de force of human ingenuity. Can you tell which bikes I'd choose for my cross-continent adventure? It's hard to beat the SUVs of motorcycles. Almost as fast and wheel-handling as sport bikes, almost as comfortable as baggers, and can do some off-roading besides. Can't beat them as far as I'm concerned. But what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my assessments? Which one are you taking on your coast-to-coast ride? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below and ride safe out there.